Over the millennia of the British royal family, countless figures have passed through the gates of Buckingham Palace, but few have divided the world in two: love and criticism, admiration and skepticism, like Meghan Markle. A Hollywood actress, divorced, born into a non-aristocratic family of mixed race and free thinking. When she married Prince Harry, the youngest son of Princess Diana, the world witnessed a new symbol: love conquers all prejudices. That day, May 19th, 2018, more than 1.9 billion people around the world watched the ceremony live. But no one knew that. Just a few years later, the couple once hailed as the embodiment of a new era would become the center of one of the biggest events in the history of the modern British royal family. Meghan Markle, the woman who made Britain ask, between fame and freedom, which is true happiness? The childhood of an imperfect girl. Meghan Markle was born in 1981 in Los Angeles, a city where dreams can come true, but where the bright lights often obscure much of the darkness. She grew up in two different worlds, one on her father's glittering film set, the other on the low-income neighborhoods where her mother taught yoga and helped the community. Meghan's father, Thomas Markle, is a veteran lighting technician in the television industry, an Emmy Award winner. Her mother, Doria Ragland, is a strong, gentle woman of color with a kind heart. From them, Meghan inherited two seemingly opposite things: the professionalism of Hollywood and the compassion of a social worker. However, Meghan's childhood was no fairy tale. When she was only 6 years old, her parents divorced. She had to divide her time between two homes, one bustling with camera lights, one simple place, where her mother taught her first lesson in kindness. From an early age, Meghan learned to stand between two worlds, trying to belong to both, but also realizing that she did not completely belong to either. At school, young Meghan was teased for being mixed race. Once, when filling out a student form, she had to choose the race option. The boxes clearly stated white, black, Asian, other. She hesitated for a moment, then crossed them all out and wrote, "I am human." That seemingly simple answer later became Meghan's philosophy of life: to live authentically without forcing herself into a mold. She learned to believe in herself, to dare to speak up, and to dare to walk a different path. Despite her incomplete childhood, it was during those years that Meghan built a special inner strength, something that helped her stand firm in the storms later on, when the whole world turned its eyes to her. From middle-range actress to Suits star, before becoming a global name, Meghan Markle was just a mid-level actress, diligent, persistent, and never giving up. She used to sit for hours in the casting room, only to hear cold rejections. "You're not suitable. You're not tall enough. You're not white enough." To nurture her artistic dream, Meghan worked many jobs at the same time. She used to handwrite letters for hire, guide tourists on film sets, and work as a small advertising model. Her life was a long series of days waiting for opportunities, but she never lost faith. Then that opportunity came in 2011, when Meghan was invited to play Rachel Zane in the TV series Suits. The character Rachel is smart, confident, strong, and also somewhat like herself in real life. The role not only brought Meghan into the spotlight, but also helped millions of viewers love the image of a modern, independent woman with her own personality. Unlike many young stars who only focus on fame, Meghan uses her influence to do meaningful things. She writes a blog about a positive lifestyle, participates in gender equality campaigns, and speaks out against discrimination. In 2015, she was invited to speak at the United Nations as an ambassador for women's equality, a rare honor for a TV actress. She once said, "I don't want to be just a pretty girl on screen. I want to be someone who makes the world a little better." And perhaps it was that spirit, both warm and strong, that caught the eye of a prince. A fateful meeting with Prince Harry. One afternoon in July 2016, Meghan met Prince Harry through a mutual friend. Harry, Princess Diana's second son, was in his 30s, had served in the army, and was known for being a simple, approachable person. Meghan, an actress at the peak of her career, independent and full of energy. They met for a coffee date and chatted nonstop for hours. Harry said, At that moment, I knew she was someone special. From the first text messages to the secret trip to Botswana, where they stargazed in the middle of the African desert, their love developed naturally, sincerely, and without calculation. But then, when the relationship was made public, the media began to surround it. Speculation, sensational headlines, and cruel comparisons filled the press. Meghan was called the American actress, the divorcee, a woman of color, as if everything she had ever stood for had been reduced to a label. And for the first time, Prince Harry, who had traditionally shied away from the media, spoke up in her defense. In a powerful statement, he criticized the press for crossing the line of respect and humanity. That moment was more than just a defense of his lover. It was a declaration. Harry was ready to take on the system, for love and for justice. From that moment, the confrontation between love and tradition had begun. Dream wedding, and the first cracks on May 19, 2018, at the ancient St. George's Chapel at Windsor Castle. The world witnessed one of the most iconic weddings of the century. Billions of people watched on television. Meghan Markle, in a simple white wedding dress, wearing Queen Elizabeth's tiara, walked among rows of royalty, politicians, and Hollywood stars. It was a dreamlike moment. An American actress, the daughter of a black mother, now walked beside a British prince. They exchanged vows to the sound of gospel music and the soulful voices of a choir, something that had never been heard at any royal wedding before. That day, the world saw Meghan as a symbol of hope, of the harmony between two cultures, between the past and the present. But right after that fairy tale wedding, the harsh reality set in. Because when Meghan entered the royal family, she became not only Prince Harry's wife, but also part of a centuries-old institution where every action, from the way she smiled, the way she greeted, the way she dressed, had to follow strict rules. The British media followed her every move. A dress in the wrong color, a bow that was not low enough, could become a big headline. And when Meghan became more confident and free-spirited, people began to call her a rebel in the palace. Comparisons between her and Princess Kate Middleton became a daily staple of the press. Kate, a model of modesty, adherence to tradition. Meghan, the embodiment of modernity, independence, and individuality. The difference was so exaggerated that it created an invisible gap between the two women, and also between the two images of the royal family. For Meghan, she felt only one thing: she was being suffocated. When silence is golden, becomes a chains. The British royal family has an unwritten philosophy: never complain, never explain. That's how they've maintained stability and an unchanging image for centuries. But Meghan, who grew up in Hollywood, where individual voices are respected, couldn't understand why she had to stay silent when attacked. Negative articles kept coming, with new rumors popping up every day. From her making things difficult for her staff, to her relationship with her biological father, everything was blown up into royal drama. She recounted, "I felt like I was living in a movie where everyone knew the script, except me." She tried her best to fit in, attending dozens of events, keeping a smile on her face, doing charity work. But the British public, which is strict with foreigners, never seemed ready to truly accept her. Harry saw his wife getting more and more tired. He recalled the memories of his mother, Princess Diana, who was hounded by the media until she died in an accident. That obsession left him with only one choice: to protect Meghan at all costs. He started a dialogue with his family, asking to be separated from some duties, but the royal family did not agree. The cracks grew wider and wider, and in the end, there were only two paths left: either to continue to remain silent to maintain honor, or to speak up to protect himself. Historic interview. When the wall of silence falls in March 2021, the world held its breath. For the first time in years, Meghan Markle and Prince Harry appeared in an exclusive interview with Oprah Winfrey, the most powerful woman on American television. A small garden, a few rattan chairs, the gentle afternoon sun, seemingly peaceful, but each word echoed like thunder in the British sky. For nearly 2 hours, Meghan talked about the time she was isolated, misunderstood, and felt so hopeless that she even thought about death. She said in a choked voice, "I just wanted to be heard, but instead I was muted." That sentence made the whole world silent, because for the first time in centuries, a member of the British royal family has admitted that, behind the glamorous exterior, there were long nights of loneliness, fear, and tears. The interview was not just Meghan's story. It was a voice for millions who felt forgotten, silenced by the system. For many, Meghan was the one who dared to break down the wall. For others, she was the one who betrayed tradition. But love her or hate her, no one can deny. From that moment on, the British royal family was never the same again. Meghan did not just tell her story. She opened a global conversation about the right to speak, the right to be understood, and the right to be true to oneself. Megxit. When love leaves the kingdom. Harry and Meghan's decision to leave the British royal family did not happen overnight. It was the result of months of struggle, sleepless nights, and endless conversations between the couple in the cold room at Frogmore Cottage. Harry once said, "I was born into privilege, but that doesn't mean I can't choose happiness." For him, the royal family was not only the place where he was born, but also the place where he witnessed his mother, Princess Diana, passing away in tragedy. The images of camera lenses and cruel comments from years ago haunted Harry throughout his childhood. And now he sees history repeating itself, this time with the wife he loves most. In a 2020 interview, Meghan confessed, I really tried. But when you're being hurt every day, silence is no longer an option." In January 2020, the official announcement was made. Prince Harry and Duchess Meghan Markle would step down as senior members of the British royal family. The news exploded in every newspaper, was compared to Brexit, even called Megxit. Public opinion was deeply divided. One side said they betrayed the royal family, left to make money. But the other side saw in it the courage of two people who dared to fight for the right to live freely. That decision brought a series of consequences. They lost the title His and Her Royal Highness. They no longer received tax revenue. They had to take care of their own security, housing, and travel expenses. But what they got in return was a rare freedom. The freedom to speak, to choose their own career, to raise their children in their own way. They left England, went to Canada, then to California, where the golden sunshine and blue sea welcomed the two people who were once called outsiders of the royal family. In Santa Barbara, they bought a small villa, planted trees, raised chickens, and started over. No more formalities, no more rules. Just a small family, Harry, Meghan, and baby Archie. Harry once said in an interview later, "I didn't leave my family. I just left the environment that was hurting my family." From a prince in military uniform, he became a normal man in a white shirt, going to the supermarket with his wife, teaching his children to speak, driving himself. And perhaps in those simple, peaceful moments, he was truly himself. Meghan returned to her role as a creator. She and Harry founded Archewell, an organization that produces social, humanitarian, and educational programs. They signed a multi-million-dollar partnership with Netflix and Spotify, not only to make a living, but also to tell their own stories. Despite much criticism, Harry and Meghan remained steadfast. If we stay silent, others will tell our stories for us. They appeared at many international events, participated in charity activities, and supported mental health and gender equality. Meghan, who was once considered a rebellious bride, is now voted by Time magazine into the list of 100 most influential people in the world. But freedom is not a perfect happy ending. Its price is distance from the royal family and broken relationships that cannot be repaired. Harry still aches for his father, King Charles, and his brother, Prince William. The once familiar eyes now quiet and distant. "I miss my family," Harry said, "but sometimes, to love properly, you have to leave." The legacy of Meghan Markle, the woman who don't need the throne today. When people mention Meghan Markle, few people think of the image of Rachel Zane in the movie Suits. She has gone further. becoming a cultural icon, a global voice for feminism, equality, and personal freedom. To many, Meghan is the image of a woman who dares to break stereotypes. She does not let her background, skin color, or past define her. She refuses to stay silent to maintain fame. And more importantly, she dares to redefine the meaning of a modern-day princess. She does not represent classical perfection like Princess Grace Kelly, but the image of a real woman, with faults, tears, and strength. To those who love her, Meghan is a symbol of courage. To her critics, she is proof that the media can shape the destiny of people. No matter which side she is on, no one can deny, Meghan Markle has forever changed the way the British royal family is viewed. Before Meghan, the royal family was a closed wall, where people only saw standard smiles and lavish ceremonies. After Meghan, the public saw the dark side: emotions, hurt, truth. And while that made many uncomfortable, it also made the royal family more human, more approachable, and more real. Meghan is not just a princess, she is a storyteller, someone who used her own life to open a global dialogue about freedom and personal values in the 21st century. In 2022, she launched the podcast Archetypes, a series of programs about the prejudices that women face. The first episode attracted millions of listeners within a few hours of its release. She interviews powerful women like Serena Williams, Mariah Carey, Mindy Kaling, about how they were labeled, misunderstood, and how they overcame. It's not just a podcast. It's a way for Meghan to find her own voice. On social media, images of her, simple, natural, smiling with her children, gradually replaced the old headlines. No longer the rebellious bride, no longer the divisive princess, but the woman who dared to choose the hardest path, leaving power to keep peace. For the British royal family, Meghan became a test of adaptability in the new era. For society, she is proof that no stereotype is big enough to confine a woman with will and voice. She once said, "I don't want to be a victim of anyone. I just want to be myself. Nothing more, nothing less." And perhaps that is why, despite the controversy, despite the misunderstanding, Meghan Markle still has the world watching. Not because she is the wife of a prince, but because she is a woman who dares to live her truth in a world full of lies. Meghan's story is not just a journey from the royal family. It is a journey of self, from the lights of Hollywood through Buckingham Palace to the freedom of the California sunrise. A journey of tears, of hurt, of loss, but also of rebirth. And that is what makes Meghan Markle not just the Duchess of Sussex, but the woman who rewrote the definition of happiness in the 21st century, in the 21st century, in the 21st century.